All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our the Rules Subcommittee for the Chapter 944 rules for Measure 110. We have 4 members of the subcommittee. The subcommittee is made up of 6 members. 4 makes a quorum. So we are at quorum, which means that we can go ahead and look at the comments that were collected during the Rules Advisory Committee for the Chapter 944 rules. And you all get to decide whether, oh, sorry, the dog's distracting me. And so you all, oh, we have Anisha. So you all get to decide if you want to incorporate these comments or not. And with that, I'm going to ask, first I'm going to welcome Onisha when the audio connects. Welcome, Onisha. We are just getting started. We are live on YouTube. And I just want to kind of level set here. We have 2 hours set aside for this. We only have 2 comments to consider. So this shouldn't be too long. But definitely take your time. As I said, we have 2 hours scheduled. So, and if that dog gets any cuter, I don't know what I'm going to do. So with that, I'm going to ask Sydney to go ahead and share the comments that we received from the RAC. All right. So the first comment is under the definition of supported employment in our definitions. The comment says, I have concerns with the use of the term supported employment, as this is a term used exclusively with the community supporting those with disabilities. And I believe this will lead to a lot of confusion, as the Chapter 944 rules do not define this term the same way the disability community does. Do you have any discussion that you'd like to have? You can have discussion. You can accept this and we can change it, or you can decline to take action and we can move on. Keisha.
I would say I had that same concern around, how using the same term supported employment when it means different things. So I had that same concern.
So does that mean, I'm sorry, Amy.
Thank you. So I agree. Like, we could do something different, like supporting employment, you know, because we are supporting employment, or, you know, or work source options or something. We could come up with something a little different. But yeah, I kind of agree with what they're saying.
Ron?
No, I was going to say that I think that term is in statute.
That is actually, I believe you all adopted the Medicaid. So just to give you a little bit of context, or like a reminder, you all adopted this specific definition because of the supplantation of funds in the statute. You all wanted folks to be able to, if they could, bill Medicaid for the supported employment, which is why you adopted this. Again, you know, up to you. But that was kind of the thinking around why you all adopted this specific language, so that it could be billed for Medicaid if needed. And I see, Keisha, you have your hand up. Is that still up, or do you have another comment?
No, it was still up, but yeah. And I'm just wondering if, I don't know, if, if the population we're trying to get to falls under, well, if I'll let somebody else speak, yeah.
So
And we do have Colleen here. Colleen, is there anything that you would like to add? To
Hey
what I
guys.
said?
Hey, this is Colleen. Thanks. I actually was going to ask if Allison was on the call or if we knew that if we could follow essentially using the term supported employment, if we selected that initially because we wanted people to be able to bill Medicaid. I don't know why we couldn't. I'm going to just try and say it. And if it doesn't make sense, I can correct it. I don't know why having a very specific definition of supported employment allows us to then bill Medicaid, or if the action of having content referred to as supported employment, like it's not so much about the definition, I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're doing the action. So I don't know why we couldn't call it, like Amy suggested, support. I think she said supportive or supporting employment. Like, I don't know that that's contingent. Like, this term isn't contingent on us having Medicaid. And then my other question would be, how important is the Medicaid thing? I don't know. So
Can I bring up one more point, y'all? That this is a service element in your RFGA, and that's why we added it to the rules at all. So it is in the RFGA, it is in all of the contracts.
So
Is now it is now a good time to change that? That's, I think, the question for you all. It's kind of weighing the risk of, having something in rule mismatch what you asked for in your RFGA and that is currently in your contracts. And
I
so,
don't want to.
okay.
Oh, I don't
Real
want us
quick.
this to delay anything just because we have to change the verbiage now. If we have the option to change the verbiage later, we could do that. But I mean, when you bill Medicaid for a service, you can, you call it what you call it, but it's about the code. There's a code that goes with it. So, I don't know that changing the verbiage is going to make any difference about billing when you're providing the service code and the service definition. That shouldn't interrupt that process. So I'm thinking, now we just have to figure out, because I just don't want us to have to go in and yeah, granted, it's a Word document and we can just put find and replace, but but I don't want it to stop any kind of funding or anything or any issues, because we've already done that enough. So that's my discussion.
All right, thank you. Morgan, you had your hand up?
Yeah, so I just want to, this commenter's concern is because supported employment is construed in the community. It's been funded as a very particular thing for a long time, specifically for people with disabilities. So I understand the commenter's concern, and I do think that we should take that under consideration for the next RFGA cycle, but we should not create a mismatch in the application now by switching the term. And Central City Concern calls it employment access. So when we go to do this again, I think we should just call it employment access services and let supported employment remain for disabilities. But this is absolutely not something that we should change at this exact point in time. This will need to be resolved when we go to do the next RFGA so that we always have clear continuity.
Thank you. Colleen?
I would agree. And I also want to bring up that by defining it, you're saying when you use it in rule that this is the definition. So even though there might be colloquial miscommunication that way of like how we use a word or how other groups use the word, for the purposes of the rule as related to what Morgan was saying, to match our FGPs and match the burn process that we did this time around, you are literally saying what you see on the screen is what we're picking. So keep that in mind, and we can
Right.
change it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, our definition specifically identifies that the services will assist individuals with substance use disorder. I'm not sure, it's clear in our definition. So because of that, I would not be in favor of changing it.
Thanks, Ron. Keisha?
Yeah, and I was gonna say our definition isn't the other supported employment definition. But is that confusing though? I mean, we defined it as we wanted to, but it's not defined as it is really defined.
So what I think I'm hearing Colleen say is it doesn't really matter how it's defined anywhere else. That the folks who you have funded, who are using these rules to define supported employment are going to use your definition regardless of anyone else's. Am I correct in saying that, Colleen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we define things, because if things are not defined, they have a dictionary definition of them, like a very plain language. So we're saying that we're picking this one for now. Or if you vote to say that, sorry.
Well, so that brings me to, oh, go ahead, Keisha, I'm sorry.
Not to change anything, but I'm just wondering if they tried to bill for those services that we define, could they?
You muted, Keisha. I think, did you want to finish that or do you want us to,
I was just saying if so we said for the purposes of billing Medicaid, would people run into an issue trying to bill Medicaid for stuff that we define other than what is truly supported employment? Because we got to expand.
So I think if somebody has a problem billing Medicaid, that's going to be something for that organization to figure out. And if they can't bill Medicaid, then they have Measure 110 funds for supported employment, right? Like that was the supplantation language. Does that make sense? And also remember, this definition came way after the grant agreements were written and you all funded folks. So, I mean, that is also something to think about. Any more comments, or did somebody want to make a motion to, oh, Keisha, did you still have another comment? Nope. Ron, did you have a comment?
No, I was going to make a motion to not accept this comment.
Okay.
And second that motion.
All right. I don't know if this is how we're supposed to do it, but it's the cleanest way I know to be as clear as we can. So we have a motion on the table from Ron to not move on this comment. We have a second from Morgan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Sydney, you want to take that vote, or I can?
Sorry, my screen share is really weird. As you can see, the comments keep going away. So I'm not going to switch. I'm not going to switch documents. I'm just going to have a paper record over here. So apologize. I'll get an official record sent off, but just want to let you know I'm doing it that way. Morgan, how do you vote?
Yes, to not accept.
Perfect. Thank you. Ron?
Yes, to not accept.
Thank you. Onisha, is Onisha still here?
Yes.
Thank you. Keisha?
Yes.
Thanks, Keisha. Amy?
Yes.
Thank you. And Nicole, I saw you joined.
I'm going to have to abstain. Thank you.
Okay. That will still pass with 5 yes votes. And let me situate my screen to the next comment.
Thank you, Sydney.
This one was really easy. There you go.
Here's your other comment. The comment is, I'm happy to see the inclusion of expungement services. I don't know.
I move to accept that comment.
I don't know that we can accept it. I don't think there's anything to accept, but I think we could show appreciation for the comment, maybe.
Can that be in the official rules? Expungement services, parentheses, and people like it?
Well,
So-
if you remember, we got a ton of comments about it last time. Ron?
Darlene, do we have to take action on that?
No. What you could do is have a conversation. So even though that they're supporting it, if the comment was, I'm not happy to see that inclusion of expungement services, you could talk about it. So you could still at this time decide to not add expungement services to the rule language. So that's kind of a discussion point. But you don't have to vote.
We don't have to vote. And then do we have to, okay, yeah, Amy.
So expungement services are something that would have to have a legal guide, to do. I don't know that expungement services would be a good way to put it. We could do expungement referrals and information because they're not qualified to do expungement services. And there's referrals, like I just went to a clinic. I got referred to a clinic. I went, I'm getting my record expunged. It's great, but they are all legal aid students. They are all legally, and they were overseen by a law person that knows how to fill that stuff out. It's quite in depth. And I feel that by offering expungement services, sorry about the background noise, offering expungement services would confuse that. I mean, expungement referrals would be a better way to put that.
Thank you, Amy. Morgan, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. This isn't, Amy, this isn't just for like anybody to do expungement. This is to fund exactly that type of clinic that you went to, but like housed within a treatment program or like an outpatient, so that those clinics, because those law students and that lawyer, that's a lot of money. That's really expensive. So this was a mechanism to be able to use Measure 110 funds to facilitate recovery through expungement, which is a means of economic mobility.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Is there are organizations and entities that want to help these local burns and provide the service of providing them with access to the services they provide. And they're even going to be conducting, there are those that will actually provide training to staff members to be able to help them guide their folks to obtain the service. So yes, I agree with Morgan.
All right, so okay, so Amy, did you have another comment? Your hand's up, so I just want to make sure. All right, so sounds good. Colleen, can you please guide us here? So they have attended to both comments. Do we need to vote on this final version? They did vote on should we vote on the final version for funsies?
I would for funsies, just to cover our bases.
Sounds good. All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
Yes, just for funsies, I make a motion. I vote, what am I making? To just accept everything that we've discussed?
Accept the changes to the rules.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to accept the changes as we have discussed them.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion on the table to accept the changes as discussed. We have a second from Ron. Do we have any more discussion? Hearing none. Sydney, when you can.
And just to be clear, there aren't any changes, right? Okay, I just want to, I'm writing the motion as it's stated, but just to, this is the final motion where you don't need to make any changes. So Morgan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ron?
Yes.
Thanks, Ron. Onisha?
Yes.
There you are. Thanks, Onisha. Keisha?
Yes.
Thank you, Keisha. Amy?
Yes.
Thank you, Amy. And Nicole. Is Nicole still on?
Yep, I'm here. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Nicole. That passes with 6 yes votes. And that's all I have to share. I'm going to stop my screen.
All right, well, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us on this long, arduous meeting that we had. Y'all are fantastic, rock stars, and I think that calls it for the day. So thank you for showing up and helping us out.
Can I ask a question real quick?
No, yes, of course.
Okay. I just was wondering if we could get a summary of next steps. So
Oh.
everyone has a fair expectation of what's coming next.
Yeah, Colleen, you got next steps for us?
Yeah, I can do that. I believe that now that we voted on the text, do we bring it to the full council to let them know what it is? And I can't recall, you remind me, do they have to vote on it again, or is the subcommittee fully voting as we just did, that this is now the version that we can move forward to file?
I believe last time the full council voted, Ron.
So once you file, there's a public comment period, right?
Yeah.
Is that- Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, though. We're just.
okay,
talking
just
about-
double check. I'm just kind of rolling out the sequence.
Yeah. So if either we vote with the full council and then Kalina and Hannah, who are your rules coordinators, file it with Secretary of State. And then that opens up, if we file it pretty soonish, which was the idea, then in the October 1st bulletin with Secretary of State, that's what opens it to the general public. RAC members, council members, general public, anybody who's interested in this rule, who even has no understanding of what burns are allowed to comment on it. And then it comes back to the subcommittee to do a similar thing that you just did with all the comments that we received during that public comment period, which I believe would end around October 21st, but don't quote me because I don't have the calendar in front of me.
All right, thank you. So it sounds like the next step is to get it in front of the council. I believe we voted. I believe the full council voted on the
I believe so
final.
too, but I have recollection that also slowed down. And I remember also that when we talked about with the full council of having this rules subcommittee, was what came to the table is the subcommittee solely or is the whole council giving the subcommittee the ability, powers, and authority to kind of select which text and move forward? Or does it still need to be voted on by the full council again? And I can't recall that. Or if it was just being brought as a news item, so to speak, of the subcommittee reviewed and attended the RAC, and this is what came of it.
Yeah, so I think I'm remembering this, and I believe that, the OIC usually wants to vote, have a full vote at the end. We can go ahead and do our due diligence and double check on our end, look at the motion and the discussion. And we will put this on our next agenda. Thank you all. Any questions? All right, thanks. Thank you, Colleen, for being here.
Yeah, of course.
All right.